What happens when a playful puppy becomes a canine officer? Find out as we follow the journey of this adorable pup, as he learns the skills to become a valuable member of the force, and how he balances his duties with being a loving family member. The kennel was filled with the sounds of puppies. Tiny yips and playful growls echoed off the concrete walls. Officer Jake Miller walked slowly down the line. His heart was heavy. His last partner, a stoic German shepherd named Rex, had retired a month ago. The silence in his patrol car was a constant reminder of the empty space beside him. He needed a new partner, not a replacement, but a new beginning. He stopped at the last minute. A litter of German shepherd puppies tumbled over each other. They were all beautiful, strong, and full of life. But one caught his eye. He wasn't the biggest. He wasn't the loudest. He was sitting in the corner, intently trying to untie the legs of a forgotten home. He looked up, his head cocked to one side. His eyes were dark, intelligent, and full of a curious fire. Jake knelt. "Hey there, little guy." The puppy dropped the legs and trotted over. He didn't jump or bark. He just pushed his wet nose into Jake's hand and sniffed. Jake smiled. It was the first real smile he'd ever raised. "I think I'll call you Max," he whispered. The ride home was a new experience. Rex had always sat stoically in the custom-built K9 crate in the back. Max, however, was in a small carrier on the passenger seat. He whined softly, his paws scratching the floor. Jake reached over and poked a finger through it. Max licked it eagerly. Life with Max was chaos wrapped in fur. The puppy explored Jake's small house with endless interest. He discovered that socks were the most wonderful toys in the world. He learned that the legs of the kitchen table were perfect for children. He figured out how to unravel an entire roll of toilet paper in under a minute. Jake's wife, Sarah, would laugh as she cleaned up another one of Max's messes. "He's certainly keeping us on our toes," she'd say, ruffling the pup's soft ears. Their 7-year-old daughter, Lily, was completely smitten. She would lie on the floor for hours, letting Max climb all over her. She read him her picture books, her soft voice a calming presence for the energetic puppy. "Max, this is a caterpillar," she would say seriously, pointing at a picture. Max would respond by trying to eat the corner of the book. Even in these early days, Jake saw the spark of a great canine. Max was mischievous, but he was also incredibly smart. He learned his name in a day. He mastered sit in an afternoon, especially if a tiny piece of chicken was involved. The first challenge was crate training. The first night, Max howled. It was a lonely, heartbreaking sound that echoed through the house. Jake lay in bed, his heart aching. He knew he couldn't give in. A K9 needed discipline. He needed to trust that his crate was a safe place. After an hour, the howling stopped. Jake crept out of bed and peeked into the living room. Max was curled into a tight ball, asleep in his crate. A small victory. Their bond grew with every passing day. It was forged in early morning walks through the dewy grass. It was strengthened during games of fetch in the backyard, where Max would run with joyful abandon. Jake would throw the ball, and Max would bring it back, his tail wagging so hard his whole body would wiggle. In those moments, he wasn't Officer Miller, K9 hero. He was just a man playing with his dog. The other officers at the station loved Max. They would sneak him treats and laugh at his clumsy, oversized paws. "He's got big shoes to fill, Jake," Sergeant Peterson said one day, watching Max chase a leaf across the parking lot. Jake nodded, a hand on Max's head. "I know, but he's not Rex. He's Max, and he's going to be great." The puppy love was real. But Jake knew the fun and games were just the beginning. The real work was about to start. The Canine Academy was a different one. The playful atmosphere at home was replaced with a focused intensity. The air smelled of clean chemicals, leather, and hardware. Max seemed to sense the change. He walked closer to Jake's leg, his ears alert. The training was rigorous. It pushed both dog and animal to the limits, physically and mentally. Their day started before sunrise. The first lessons were in advanced obedience. silence. This wasn't just sit and stay. This was about absolute control in any situation. Jake had to teach Max to obey hand signals from a distance, to ignore screaming sirens, to hold a down stay, even if a steak was dropping right in front of him. It was frustrating. Max was still a young dog. His attention would wander. A bird flying overhead was far more interesting than Jake's hand signals. One afternoon, after Max broke his stay for the 10th time to chase a squirrel, Jake sat down heavily on the grass. He put his head in his hands. "I can't do this," he muttered. Max trotted over and nudged Jake's arm with his wet nose. He whined softly, as if to say, "I'm sorry. Let's try again." Jake looked into those earnest brown eyes. He saw not defiance, but a genuine desire to please. He took a deep breath. Patience. That was the key. He couldn't get angry. He had to make a game. He had to be more interesting than the squirrel. He stood up. "Okay, buddy. Let's go again." This time, his voice was light and encouraging. It worked. Max held his steady. The praise and the reward that followed, a vigorous game of tug-of-war with his favorite rope, sealed the lesson. Next came the agility course. It was a monster of wooden walls, high ramps, dark tunnels, and weaving poles. Max was hesitant at first. The A-frame wall was tall and steep. He would run up to it, and then skid to a stop. Jake didn't force him. He climbed the wall himself, then called to Max from the other side. "Come on, Max. You can do it." He used his most encouraging voice. Sarah and Lily came to watch one weekend. Lily stood at the other end of the tunnel. "You can do it, Maxie," she cheered. Spurred on by his family, Max scrambled through the tunnel. He leaped over the hurdles. Finally, he conquered the A-frame, his paws finding purchase as he scrambled up one side and down the other. When he reached the bottom, Jake enveloped him in a hug. "Good boy. What a good boy." The most critical part of his training was scent work. This was where AK-9 earned his keep. The trainer started simply. They hid Max's favorite squeaky toy under one of several cardboard boxes. "Find it, Max." Jake would command, his voice low and serious. Max's entire demeanor would change. The playful pup vanished. A focused hunter emerged. His nose went to the ground, sniffing, questing. He moved methodically from box to box. When he found the right one, he didn't bark or scratch. He sat perfectly still, his eyes locked on the box. This was the passive alert he had trained for. For toys, they moved to more serious scenes. They used a scent wall, a wall of metal boxes, only one of which contained hard notes and training. Over and over, day after day, they practiced. Max's accuracy was astonishing. His nose was a million times more sensitive than any humans. He could detect the faintest trace of scent, a ghost in the air. The final piece of the puzzle was tracking. Jake would walk a path through a dense field, dropping a small article in his clothing along the way. Then, he would bring Max to the start. "Track," he would command. Max would lower his head, his powerful nose inhale deeply. He would pull on the long rope, not in a rush, but with a steady, determined pace. He was reading a story in the grass and dirt that Jake could not see. He would find a dropped glove, the lost hat, every single time. Through it all, Jake's dedication never wavered. He spent hours grooming Max, checking his paws for cuts, and talking to him in a low, soothing voice. He learned to read Max's every signal, the flick of an ear, the slight stiffening of his tail. They were becoming more than a handler and a dog. They were becoming a single, cohesive unit. They were becoming partners. The badge and the uniform came off the moment Jake walked through his front door. At home, Max's job description changed. He was no longer canine in training. He was the family dog, the furry brother, the gentle giant. This transition was vital. A police dog that couldn't decompress was a stress dog. Jake's family was the key to Max's balanced life. Sarah was the bedrock of their support system. She understood the immense pressure Jake was under. She saw how much of himself he was pouring into Max. She never complained about the dog hair on the sofa or the early morning departures. Instead, she helped. She learned the specific diet Max needed. No table scraps, no human food, to keep him in peak condition. She would sit with Jake in the evenings, helping him brush Max's thick coat. A quiet time for all three of them. He looks so serious when he's working, she said one night, watching a video Jake had taken of the academy. It's hard to believe this is the same dog who's scared of the vacuum cleaner. Jake laughed. That's the goal. On and off switch. He's got to have one. Lily's bond with Max was pure magic. She was his official cuddle supervisor. When Jake practiced downstay commands in the living room, Lily would be his biggest distraction. She would roll a ball past Max's nose or sit next to him and whisper stories. Max, with heroic effort, would hold his position, his tail giving just a slight, betraying thump, thump, thump. Her love helped his training in unexpected ways. She would hide his favorite toys around the house. Okay, Maxie, she'd spoon. Find your ducky. This simple game reinforced his search and find skills in a joyful, low-stress environment. He wasn't looking for a target scene. He was looking for his beloved ducky for his favorite meal. The reward was not a treat for Jake, but a big, uncoordinated hug. Even 4-year-old Leo, a whirlwind of toddler energy, played a role. Max learned incredible patience with him. Leo would pull his tail and try to ride him on the horse. Max never once growled or snapped. He would just stand up, move a few feet away, and lie back down for a long subway sigh. It taught him to be steady and tolerant around unpredictable movements and loud noises, an invaluable skill for a police dog. The family became part of the team. On weekends, they would go to a quiet park. Sarah and the kids would go hide. Then Jake would give the command. Find them, Max. Go find your family. Max would take off, nose to the ground, a happy bark escaping his throat. It was a game, but it was also training. It was tracking. He would find them huddled behind a big oak tree, and the reunion was always a storm of giggles and pets. This life at home, filled with love and play, was just as important as the rigorous exercises of the academy. It kept Max grounded. It taught him the difference between a threat and a child. It showed him what he was training to protect. Families, just like his own. One evening, Jake was sitting on the back porch, watching the sunset. Max was lying at his feet, his head resting on Jake's boots. Lily came out and sat down, leaning against Max's warm back. "Daddy," she said quietly, "is Max going to be a hero?" Jake looked at the loyal dog and his loving daughter. Keep an arm around both of them. "Yeah, sweetie," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I think he already is." The call came on a cold, rainy evening in late autumn. Max had been a certified canine for 3 months. They had handled minor calls, a building search, a traffic stop, but nothing like this. Dispatched to K9-1. The radio crackled. "We have a missing person. A 6-year-old girl. Last seen near the edge of Pine Ridge Forest an hour ago. Parents are frantic." Jake's blood ran cold. A 6-year-old, just a year younger than him. K9-1 responded. He said, his voice steady. He glanced at Max, who was sitting in the back of the patrol car. Max's ears perked up at the change in Jake's tone. He knew. It was time of work. When they arrived, the scene was chaotic. Police cars, flashing lights, worried neighbors. A woman was sobbing, wrapped in a blanket. The father was talking to the sergeant, his face pale with fear. The sergeant briefed Jake quickly. Her name was Emily. She was playing her backyard and wandered off. She was chasing her cat. She's wearing a pink jacket. Jake knelt beside the father. "Sir, do you have something with your daughter sent on it?" "A blanket, a stuffed animal." The man nodded, his hand shaking as he held out a small, well-loved teddy bear. "This is her favorite." Jake let Max sniff the bear deeply. He didn't let him lick it, play with it. This was not a game. "Okay, Max," Jake said, his voice low and firm. He attached the long tracking lead to Max's harness. "Find her. Find Emily. Max's transformation was immediate. His body intensely focused. His nose dropped to the wet ground. He pulled against the lead, his powerful legs churning through the mud at the edge of the woods. The forest was dark and unwelcoming. Rain dripped from tall pines, soaking them both. The beam of Jake's flashlight cut a lonely path through the gloom. For nearly an hour, they tracked. Max was relentless. He navigated fallen logs and thick underbrush, his nose always working, reading the invisible trail. Jake trusted him completely. He kept the lead taut, but let Max guide him, his own senses focused on his partner's cues. He could feel Max's certainty through the line connecting them. Then Max stopped. He nudged a small, muddy object with his nose. Jake shone his light on it, a pink ribbon, the kind a little girl might wear. Jake's heart hammered in his chest. Good boy, Max. Good boy. Find him. Max surged forward with renewed purpose. He led Jake deeper into the woods, towards a rocky ravine. The terrain was getting dangerous. Suddenly, Max stopped again. He lifted his head and let out a single, sharp bark. It wasn't his playful bark or his warning bark. It was his "I found it" bark. Jake scrambled forward, his light dancing over the rocks. And then he saw her, a small shape in a pink jacket, huddled at the bottom of a shallow ravine. She had slipped and fallen. She was crying softly, her face smudged with dirt. "Emily." Jake called gently. "It's okay. We're here to help." He radioed their location, his voice cracking with relief. "Dispatch. K9-1 has found child. She is safe." He carefully climbed down to her. Max stayed at the top, whining with concern. Emily looked up, her eyes wide with fear. She saw the big dog and shrank back. "It's okay," Jake said softly. "His name is Max. He's a good boy. He found you." He scooped her into his arms. She was cold and shivering, but unharmed. When he carried her back up, Max licked her hand gently, his tail giving a slow, steady wag. The reunion with her parents was a moment Jake would never forget. The tears of fear turned to tears of overwhelming joy. The girl's mother hugged Jake, then knelt and wrapped her arms around Max's thick neck. "Thank you," she sobbed into his front. "Thank you, you wonderful dog." Back at the car, Jake pulled out Max's special toy. The worn tug rope he only got for a job load. He played with Max for a full 10 minutes, ignoring the rain. "You did it, buddy," Jake said, ruffling Max's wet fur. He looked at his partner, no longer a clumsy puppy, but a confident, life-saving canine. Pride swelled in his chest, so powerful it felt like it might burst. "You did it. You're a hero." Max just looked up at him, the rope in his mouth, his eyes shining with loyalty. For him, it wasn't about being a hero. It was about doing his job, for his partner, for his best friend. Years passed. The black on Max's muzzle slowly turned to a distinguished gray. He and Jake became one of the most respected K9 teams on the force. They found lost hikers, tracked down dangerous suspects, and discovered hidden evidence that solved countless cases. Each success was a testament to their unbreakable partnership. Max was a local hero. School children would draw pictures of him. The community trusted him. But at the end of every shift, he was still just Max. He would walk in the door, greet Sarah with a happy wiggle, and let Lily, now a teenager, use him as a furry pillow when she did her homework. Jake often found himself in the back porch, brushing Max's thick coat, just like he did when Max was a pup. The movements were familiar, comforting. He would look at his partner and see the entire journey reflected in those wise, brown eyes. He saw the mischievous puppy who stole socks, the frustrated student who chased squirrels, and the brave hero who found a lost little girl in the dark woods. He remembered the endless hours of training, the patience it took to shape raw instinct into disciplined skill. He knew that a handler's commitment was the foundation of any great canine. You couldn't just command a dog like Max. You had to earn his trust. You had to build a bond so strong that it transcended words. It was a language spoken through a leash, a glance, a tone of voice. Their bond was a living thing, nurtured every day through shared work, shared play, and shared life. It was in the quiet moments, the way Max would rest his head on Jake's knee during a long stakeout, offering silent comfort. It was in the explosive moments, the way Jake could give a single, quiet command and know Max would obey without hesitation, trusting Jake with his life. One sunny afternoon, Jake was off duty. He was throwing a tennis ball for Max in the backyard. Max, despite his age, still launched himself after her. Lily came out and sat beside her dad on the steps. "Remember when he was just a little puppy?" she asked, smiling. "And he couldn't even make it over to the gym." "I remember," Jake said, his eyes on his magnificent dog. "I remember being so worried he wouldn't make it, but he had it in his home. He just needed to find it." Max trotted back, the ball in his mouth, and he dropped it at Jake's feet. He leaned his weight against Jake's legs, familiar, comforting pressure. Jake scratched him behind the ears, right in the spot he loved best. He thought about the nature of courage and loyalty. He had seen it in his fellow officers, but he had never seen it in a purer form than his canine brother. Max's loyalty wasn't complicated. It was absolute. He would face any danger, not out of duty in a sense, but out of a profound, unwavering devotion to his person. The story of the playful pup who became a protector was more than just a story about a dog. It was a story about the powerful, unbreakable connection that can form between a human and an animal. It was about how patience can build greatness, and how love can forge the strongest shield. Jake looked at Max, whose tail was now thumping a steady rhythm against the wooden steps. He was a canine officer, a hero, a legend in their department. But as Jake wrapped an arm around his furry partner, he knew the simplest truth was also the most important. He was more than a partner. He was family, and he was home.